Well, from SOPA to CISPA to FISA, several bills have surfaced in Congress lately that aim to regulate the internet and telecommunications. Now, this has alarmed internet activists that say government spying can lead to abuse. But at least one senator is leading the way to protect internet freedom. Senator Ron Wyden has been very vocal on the issue, and he spoke out against FISA today at the Cato Institute. Here's what he told RT.
Well, certainly, as the government has now stated, that there has been a violation of the Fourth Amendment, the protections of individuals' privacy, and you start down that road, and it undermines the confidence that the American people have in their government. And I'm just not going to accept that as a standard way of doing business.
Now, FISA was passed back in 2008 and allows the government to wiretap and monitor international phone calls. It's set to expire soon, but there's an effort in Congress now to renew the controversial legislation. For more on this government spying program, Aaron Schwartz, founder of Demand Progress, joins us now. Aaron, welcome. So let's say FISA were to be renewed. What exactly would that mean for American citizens? What danger could that pose?
Well, Liz, I think, one of the things we've seen is that the government has used this law as a technique to do much more than it says on its face. Originally, like you said, it was designed to intercept international phone calls. It wasn't about spying on Americans, but instead the government's interpreted it to say that any American who calls someone internationally or is in a conversation that uses international computers or phone lines can now be spied on. And in fact, as Senator Wyden pointed out, the government's admitted even that they haven't been able to stick to, and they've broken the law under FISA and spied on people who it's not even legal to spy upon in the first place.
So you were saying that with government spying, naturally there is a tendency there for that power to be abused.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think once you open the door and put these kinds of procedures in place where it just becomes a routine part of government investigations, and even now it seems as if the government has whole departments just listening to all international phone calls, all international computer communications, emails, internet records, just kind of digging through this massive trove of data to see if they can find something on anyone. Once you have this infrastructure in place, it's easy to use it for not just terrorism, but for regular crimes, for, petty complaints that the executive department has, for all sorts of things.
Now, this is the first time that the government has acknowledged that these wiretapping of telephone calls has violated the Fourth Amendment rights. The NSA actually acknowledged this. Here is what Senator Wyden had to say about this admission.
This is the first time, as I indicated this afternoon, that the government has disclosed that there has been a violation of the Fourth Amendment of privacy rights. This is the first time where the government has acknowledged that the FISA court has said that this is not in the spirit of the FISA Amendments Act. So I believe that this is going to usher in the possibility of a very different debate when this comes up in the fall, and that's why I pushed so hard to have that information declassified.
Now, that was a response to our producer was asking, why isn't there more support in Congress? Senator Wyden has really kind of been at the forefront of this fight for internet privacy, our internet freedoms. But he seems to be one of a few of the loud voices kind of speaking out against this. But he's saying that hopefully that this could be a game changer and get more people on board now that this admission has been made. Do you think that that can happen?
Yeah, I mean, let's not underemphasize the importance of what Senator Wyden has revealed. Government admits that they have broken the law. They admit that the courts have said what they're doing is illegal. And now they want Congress to rubber stamp it anyway. They've gone to Congress and say, look, we always we always comply by the law. Everything's been approved by the courts. We now know that was a lie, that they were misleading Congress in order to get this stuff approved. That's huge, and it's important that people know this. It hasn't gotten enough coverage. Thankfully, we can get the word out. But I think once people understand that, I think it's going to be a whole new debate about this. Usually this stuff is presented to Congress as this is just standard stuff. We do it every year. It's to fight terrorism. How could you be against it? We now know that what the government has been doing is, in fact, illegal.
And now that we know that, now that at least they've admitted it happened at least one time, we don't even know the scope of this exactly because they were kind of limited in the information that they did disclose. But
Well, this is the game they always play. They always say, oh, it's classified, it's national security. You can't know exactly how we've used it. And that's why what Senator Wyden has been doing is so crucial. He's been pushing hard to hint and to demonstrate to us that there's a lot more going on that we don't know about, that they're keeping secret, that many people would think is actually against the law.
And Aaron, talk about the implications of this. I mean, now that we know that, at least to some extent, that the Fourth Amendment has been violated under FISA. I mean, that means that government officials conducting surveillance do not need a warrant. So, I mean, what does that mean for our rights? I mean, to privacy, to the Fourth Amendment?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason it's in the Bill of Rights. It's fundamental to our constitutional order that the government doesn't get to just spy on you, that they need at least independent approval. They need to go to a nonpartisan independent judge and get permission, right? I mean, it's common sense, and it's the foundation of our Constitution. The government is constrained by having someone else check off to make sure they're not abusing their powers. What Senator Wyden has released and what he's hinted at is that the government is no longer doing this anymore, that they've declared whole classes of information, including the locations of everyone in America as detected by their cell phones, which report back to the cell phone companies where they are, that the government is now sweeping all of that information together without any warrant. They're spying on where everyone is all the time without getting a court to sign off on it. That's a huge shift and very scary.
And it absolutely sounds very scary. The NSA has refused to give Congress an estimate of how many citizens' private conversations are being captured in this vast database. I mean, is there any indication or any clue at just how, the magnitude of this?
Well, I think the fact that they can't count it gives you all the clue they need. If they were following the law, they're supposed to follow careful minimization procedures to make sure only targeted suspects are spied on, and only those conversations are listened to. If they're spying on so many people, they can't even count them. They are clearly not following the minimization procedures the way Congress intended. They're clearly not minimizing this at all.
Now, Aaron, I want to ask you, what do you make of the government's assertion that these wiretaps are all, done in the name of protecting against terrorist threats?
Look, I mean, I'm not here to support terrorism. I think very few people are. What I'm here to say is the Constitution has protected us for hundreds of years. And what it said is very simple. It's not particularly onerous at all. All it says is that you have to get a judge to sign off on it. You have to go to someone independent and say, does this look right to you? Can you double check? If the government's not willing to do even that, then I think it's not about protecting terrorism. It's about doing stuff that they're embarrassed of, that they can't get anyone else to approve. That should be scary. That's not about protecting us. That's clearly about doing something wrong.
All right. Well, Senator Wyden is one of the few that is now speaking out. He was speaking out today at the Cato Institute. Aaron, how confident are you that this will not be renewed?
I think it's up to us. That's why at demandprogress.org, we're trying to organize as many people as possible to talk about these spying issues, to raise them with their members of Congress. Like I said, this is usually something that sails through. But if enough people go to demandprogress.org and sign up and contact their members of Congress, we can raise this to the level of a serious issue. We can force a real debate, and we can stop it this time.
All right, Aaron. Thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. That was Aaron Schwartz. He's the founder of Demand Progress.